Subscribe to my YouTube channel for deeply emotional, romantic, and mature stories that echo through your heart. Don't forget to like, share, and comment to support meaningful storytelling. The rain drummed against the office windows like restless fingers, each drop carrying the weight of another long day. Maya Chen pressed her forehead against the cool glass, watching the city blur into watercolor streaks below. 23 floors up, the world seemed both infinite and impossibly small. Still here, Maya? She turned to find David Sterling standing. In the doorway, his suit jacket slung over one shoulder, tie loosened just enough to make him look human instead of corporate. He was her boss's son, though he'd earned his place in the company through merit rather than nepotism, a fact that somehow made him more intimidating, not less. Just finishing up the Morrison account, she said, gesturing to the scattered papers on her desk. The presentation needs to be perfect for tomorrow. David stepped into her office, and Maya caught the faint scent of his cologne, something woody and expensive that made her stomach flutter in ways she'd been trying to ignore for months. He was 31 to her 26, successful and devastatingly attractive in that effortless way that came from good genes and better confidence. "It's past 9, he said, glancing at his watch. "You've been here since 7 this morning." "The Morrison account is worth $2 million, Maya replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "I think it deserves a few extra hours." David moved closer and Maya's breath caught. He leaned against her desk, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "My father didn't hire you to work yourself to death, Maya. He hired you because you're brilliant." The compliment sent warmth spreading through her chest, and she looked away, focusing on the rain-streaked window. "I just want to do a good job." "You do more than a good job," David said quietly. "You're the best analyst this company has ever had. Everyone knows it." Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. There was something in his voice, something that made her wonder if he meant more than just professional admiration. But David Sterling was out of her league. She was just the girl from Queens who'd worked 3 jobs to pay for business school, while he was Manhattan royalty. "I should get going," she said, reaching for her coat. "The subway stops running efficiently after 10. "The subway?" David frowned. "In this weather? Let me drive you home." Maya's stomach dropped. "That's not necessary. I can." "Maya." His voice was firm but gentle. "It's pouring rain, it's late, and you live in Brooklyn. I'm not letting you take the subway." She wanted to argue, to maintain the careful distance she'd built between them over the past year of working together. But the truth was, she was exhausted, and the thought of standing on a crowded subway platform in the rain made her shoulders sag with defeat. "Okay," she said quietly. "Thank you." David's smile was soft, transforming his usually serious face. "Good. Get your things." 20 minutes later, Maya found herself in the passenger seat of David's sleek black BMW, the city lights blurring past the windows as they navigated through Manhattan traffic. The car smelled like leather and rain, and soft jazz played from the speakers. "You know," David said, breaking the comfortable silence, "I've been meaning to ask you something." Maya's hands tensed in her lap. "What?" "The Morrison presentation. You've been working on it for weeks. But I know for a fact that Morrison specifically requested you for this account. Not the department. You." Maya's heart began to race. She'd hoped no one would dig too deeply into that particular detail. I don't know what you mean." David glanced at her, and she saw something sharp in his expression. "Maya, I've done my research. Morrison Industries has never worked with our company before. They came to us specifically because they wanted you. The question is why?" The rain seemed to grow heavier, matching the sudden tension in the car. Maya stared out the window, watching Brooklyn grow closer, and tried to think of a way to explain, without revealing too much. "It's complicated," she said finally. I've got time, David replied, his voice deceptively casual. We're stuck in traffic anyway. Maya closed her eyes, knowing there was no way around this conversation. David was too smart, too persistent, and if she was honest with herself, she was tired of carrying the weight of her secrets alone. James Morrison and I, we have history, she said quietly. David's hands tightened on the steering wheel. What kind of history? We were engaged. The words hung in the air between them like a confession. Maya felt David's surprise, could almost hear him processing this information. Engaged, he repeated slowly. When? 2 years ago. Before I started working for your father. Maya's voice was barely above a whisper. James was everything I thought I wanted. Successful, ambitious, charming. He swept me off my feet. David was quiet for a long moment, and Maya could feel his eyes on her even though she refused to look at him. What happened? He asked gently. Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. I found out that I wasn't his only fiancé. He was engaged to 3 women at the same time, in 3 different cities. I was just the New York girl convenient for his business trips to Manhattan. Jesus, Maya. David's voice was rough with anger. I'm sorry. That's unforgivable. The worst part wasn't even the betrayal, Maya continued, the words pouring out now that she'd started. It was how stupid I felt. How could I not have seen it? How could I have been so blind? David pulled the car over to the side of the road, ignoring the honking horns behind them. He turned to face her fully, and Maya finally met his eyes. You weren't stupid, he said firmly. You trusted someone who didn't deserve it. That doesn't make you naive, it makes you human. Maya felt tears prick at her eyes. James called me 6 months ago. Said he'd ended things with the other women. That he wanted to make it right. He offered to bring his business to Sterling & Associates if I would see him again. And you agreed to handle his account because ... Because I thought I could handle it, Maya said, her voice breaking. I thought I was over him, that I could be professional. But seeing him again, working with him, it's brought back all these feelings I thought I'd buried. David was quiet for a long moment, his eyes searching her face. What kind of feelings? Maya took a shaky breath. Not love. I know that now. But ... anger. Hurt. And this terrible need to prove that I'm better than he ever deserved. Maya. David's voice was so gentle it made her chest ache. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Least of all to him. But I do, Maya said, tears finally spilling over. Don't you see? I need to show him that I survived. That I'm successful and strong, and I don't need him. David reached across the center console and took her hand, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. The touch sent electricity shooting up her arm. You are successful, he said quietly. You are strong, and you definitely don't need him. Maya looked down at their joined hands, her heart hammering. David, there's something else, he said, his voice suddenly tense. Something you need to know about Morrison. Maya's stomach dropped. What? David was quiet for a long moment, his thumb still tracing patterns on her skin. I hired a private investigator to look into Morrison Industries. I wanted to understand why they'd specifically requested you. You what? Maya pulled her hand away, anger flashing through her. You had me investigated. Not you, David said quickly. Him. I was suspicious of his motives, and I was right to be. Maya's blood turned to ice. What did you find? David's jaw tightened. Morrison Industries is in serious financial trouble. They're facing bankruptcy within the next 6 months. This contract with us, it's not about business. It's about buying time. I don't understand, Maya, David said gently. He's using you. This whole thing coming back into your life, offering you as his business. It's all part of a scheme to string along creditors while he tries to find a way out of his financial mess. Maya felt the world tilt around her. You're saying he never wanted to reconcile? That this was all just business? I'm saying he saw an opportunity to exploit your history together, and he took it. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She pressed her hands to her face, trying to process what David was telling her. How long have you known? She asked quietly. The investigator's report came in this morning. Maya laughed bitterly. So, I've been torturing myself for months, thinking he still had feelings for me, thinking maybe I still had feelings for him. And it was all just a business transaction. Maya, God, I'm such an idiot. She shook her head, anger and humiliation warring in her chest. I actually believed he might have changed. You're not an idiot, David said firmly. You're a good person who sees the best in people. That's not a weakness. Maya looked at him through her tears. Isn't it? It got me engaged to a con artist. It made me fall for his act all over again. Did you fall for it? David asked quietly. Or did you just want to believe in redemption? Maya considered this, wiping her eyes. I don't know anymore. I don't know anything anymore. David reached for her hand again, and this time she didn't pull away. Can I tell you what I know? Maya nodded. I know you're the strongest person I've ever met, he said, his voice low and intense. I know you work harder than anyone in that office, and you never complain. I know you remember everyone's birthday, and you always bring coffee for the security guards on the late shift. Maya's breath caught. I know you care about people so deeply it sometimes hurts you, David continued. And I know that Morrison never deserved you, not 2 years ago and not now. David ... Maya's voice was barely a whisper. I also know, he said, his thumb brushing over her knuckles, that I've been half in love with you for months, and I've been too much of a coward to do anything about it. Maya's heart stopped. What? David's eyes were dark and intense in the streetlight. I've wanted to ask you out since your first week at the company. But you were this brilliant, beautiful woman who seemed completely out of my league, and I was your boss's son. I convinced myself it would be inappropriate. David, and then Morrison showed up, he continued, and I watched you tie yourself in knots over him, and I realized I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I couldn't watch you torture yourself over someone who doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as you. Maya stared at him, her mind reeling. You ... You have feelings for me. I'm completely gone for you, Maya, David said quietly. I have been for months. Watching you work, seeing how passionate you are about everything you do. The way you light up when you talk about your ideas, you're incredible. Maya felt tears spring to her eyes again, but this time they weren't from hurt. I had no idea. I tried to hide it, David said with a rueful smile. I'm not sure I did a very good job. Maya thought back over the past few months the way David always seemed to find excuses to stop by her office. The way he listened intently when she spoke in meetings. The way he defended her ideas to his father and the other executives. Oh, she said softly. Oh, I know this is terrible timing, David said quickly. I know you're dealing with Morrison and you probably need time to process everything. I just ... I couldn't keep it inside anymore. Maya looked at him looked at him. She saw the vulnerability in his eyes. The way his hands trembled slightly as he held hers. This was David Sterling, the man she'd been secretly admiring for months, the one who made her heart race every time he walked into a room. David, she said quietly, I need to tell you something. His face fell slightly. Okay, I've been lying to myself about Morrison, she said. The feelings I thought I had for him, they weren't real. They were just familiar, comfortable in a twisted way. David waited, not speaking. But you, Maya continued, her voice growing stronger, you terrify me, because what I feel for you is real. It's honest and overwhelming and completely different from anything I've ever felt before. David's eyes widened. Maya, I've been so focused on proving I was over James that I missed what was right in front of me, she said. I missed you. David's smile was soft and wondering. So what do we do now? Maya looked out at the rain, then back at David. Now we figure it out. Together. David leaned closer, and Maya's breath caught. Can I kiss you? Yes, she whispered. His lips were soft and warm, and the kiss was everything Maya had dreamed it would be. Gentle but certain, tender but full of promise. When they broke apart, Maya felt like she could breathe properly for the first time in months. What about Morrison? David asked, his forehead resting against hers. Let him go bankrupt, Maya said firmly. I'm done being his lifeline. David laughed, the sound rich and warm. My father is going to be furious about losing that account. Your father will understand when I explain what Morrison was trying to do, Maya said. And if he doesn't, well, I guess I'll be looking for a new job. You're not going anywhere, David said firmly. Not if I have anything to say about it. Maya smiled, feeling lighter than she had in months. Take me home, David. Your place or mine? He asked, then blushed. I didn't mean my place. Maya said, laughing. I want to show you my apartment. I want to make you coffee and tell you about my terrible decorating choices and hear about your childhood. David's smile was brilliant. I'd like that. As they drove through Brooklyn, Maya felt the weight of the past 2 years finally lifting from her shoulders. She thought about James Morrison, about the woman she'd been when she'd fallen for his lies, and the woman she was now. She was stronger. Now, smarter, more sure of herself. And she was falling for a man who saw her clearly, who valued her not for what she could do for him, but for who she was. David? She said as they pulled up to her building. Yeah? Thank you. For the investigation, for telling me the truth, for everything. David turned off the engine and looked at her. Maya, you don't have to thank me. I should have told you sooner. No, Maya said, shaking her head. You told me when I was ready to hear it. That's what matters. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the rain slow to a gentle drizzle. One more thing, David said, his voice suddenly serious. What? I need you to know that it's not just about Morrison. It's not because you're vulnerable or because I want to rescue you from something. I have feelings for you because of who you are, not because of what you've been through. Maya felt her heart swell. I know, she said quietly. I can feel the difference. David reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Good, because I plan to spend a very long time showing you exactly how amazing you are. Maya leaned into his touch, feeling hope bloom in her chest for the first time in months. I think I'd like that. As they made their way up to her apartment, Maya realized that sometimes the most important journeys weren't the ones that took you far from home, but the ones that brought you back to yourself. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, they brought you to someone who could see the real. You, not the person you'd been, or the person you thought you should be, but the person you were becoming. The woman who walked into her apartment that night was not the same one who had left for work that morning. She was stronger, clearer, more certain of her worth. And she was ready to write a new chapter 1 that had nothing to do with the past and everything to do with the future she was brave enough to choose. Outside, the rain continued to fall, washing the city clean and carrying away the remnants of old dreams. And inside, Maya Chin and David Sterling talked until dawn, building something new and beautiful from the honest truth of who they really were.